Hi, I'm Kat Chris, and this is News Recap. No fluff, straight to the point.
Authorities arrested a man in connection with the deadly Palisades fire. Federal workers may not receive guaranteed back pay after the shutdown ends. A man with 200 explosives was arrested in Washington, D.C. A California woman won her court case with the help of AI.
Turns out the Palisades fire didn't start itself. Authorities have arrested a man in connection with a wildfire that killed a dozen people and destroyed thousands of homes earlier this year. 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht is accused of igniting a small brush fire on New Year's Day in the Pacific Palisades. That fire smoldered underground for days before winds caused it to erupt on January 7th, turning into one of the Los Angeles' most destructive wildfires. Investigators say Rinderknecht, who worked as an Uber driver at the time, attempted to call 911 several times after starting the fire while filming himself on his iPhone and asking ChatGPT whether he could be at fault, apparently trying to cover his tracks and show that he was attempting to report the fire. Officials say he left the scene but returned to film firefighters responding. During questioning, he lied about where he first saw the fire. The phone data placed him just 30 feet from the flames. Authorities also found digital images he created just months earlier showing burning forests and fleeing crowds. He now faces federal charges that could carry up to 20 years in prison. Former FBI Director James Comey pleaded not guilty in federal court today. He's facing charges of making false statements and obstructing a congressional proceeding, charges that came after a public push from President Trump for prosecutors to go after him. Comey's lawyer waived the reading of the indictment and asked for a jury trial. The case is being led by Lindsay Halligan, Trump's former personal attorney, who was recently appointed U.S. attorney in Virginia, even though she has no prior experience as a prosecutor. Comey's team says that appointment was unlawful and plans to challenge it, calling the charges vindictive and selective prosecution. Comey, who once led the FBI under both Republican and Democratic presidents, became a target of Trump's anger after the Russia's investigation began in 2016. The trial is set for January 5th and is expected to last 2 to 3 days. The Trump administration is warning that federal workers may not get guaranteed back pay during the government shutdown, according to a memo being circulated by the White House. This could affect about 750,000 furloughed employees. The Office Management and Budget quietly removed references to a 2019 law that guaranteed back pay after a funding lapse. Before, workers could count on being paid as soon as the government reopened. Senator Thune, a South Dakota Republican, tried to distance himself from the controversy on Capitol Hill.
I haven't looked at the memo specifically yet. My assumption is that furloughed workers will get back pay. But that being said, this is very simple. Open up the government, and this is a non-issue. We don't have to have this conversation. Everybody gets paid when the government is open.
Critics say the administration is using the threat as a pressure tactic to force lawmakers to reopen the government. Democrats insist any funding deal must also protect health subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. Legal experts and former lawmakers say the 2019 law still guarantees back pay. However, the administration's memo reverses that policy, stating that Congress must decide if employees will be paid. Flight delays are hitting airports across the U.S. for the third straight day as the government shutdown stretches on. Staffing shortages among air traffic controllers have caused delays in cities including Boston, Chicago, Denver, Houston, Las Vegas, Nashville, Newark, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and Burbank, California. The problem started on Monday when controllers began working without pay. Newark Liberty International Airport could reduce flights to keep operations safe. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy noted a slight uptick in sick calls since the shutdown began, and the Air Traffic Controllers Union warned that any deliberate actions to delay flights would be illegal and could cost federal employees their jobs. Delays have already hit thousands of flights, and more are expected as the shutdown continues. A New Jersey man was arrested on the steps of the Cathedral of St. Matthew the Apostle in Washington, D.C., just before a major Catholic event. 41-year-old Louis Jerry allegedly had 200 explosives in a tent and expressed hatred toward ICE, Supreme Court justices, Jews, and the Catholic Church, according to court documents. When police approached, he warned, "Call the feds, I have explosives," and threatened that people could die. He handed over a notebook, but also showed vials of explosive liquid, telling officers to step away or there's going to be deaths. Police handcuffed Jerry after a brief struggle and seized the devices. Some contained the same chemical used in the Oklahoma City bombing. He faces 8 charges, including possession of a weapon of mass destruction and a hate crime, and is being held without bail. President Donald Trump escalated his fight with Illinois Democrats, declaring that Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor J.B. Pritzker should be in jail. Trump posted on Truth Social accusing the officials of failing to protect law enforcement and allowing violent crime to continue. The post came a day after Texas National Guard troops arrived in Illinois, despite Democratic objections. The White House claimed the troops are needed to protect federal workers and property. Illinois sued to block the deployment. A judge set a hearing for Thursday and did not block the move. Both Pritzker and Johnson pushed back. Pritzker called Trump's actions authoritarian and suggested the 25th Amendment could be used. And Johnson charged that the president is unfairly targeting a black man and insisted, "I'm not going anywhere." The clash highlights rising tension over crime, immigration enforcement, and the president sending federal troops into cities run by Democrats. Election officials in Maine are investigating after 250 blank ballots were found in an Amazon package last week. The discovery came the same day the town of Ellsworth reported 250 missing absentee ballots. Maine Secretary of State Shanna Bellows said her office is working with the FBI, the U.S. Postal Service, and other agencies to determine what happened. Officials say the state's election system remains secure despite the incident. Amazon confirmed it is cooperating with investigators and said the package appears to have been tampered with after leaving their network. The woman who received the ballots reported that the package looked like it had been opened and resealed. Early in-person voting began on Monday for Maine's November 4th election, which includes a referendum on absentee voting rules. Authorities are focused on finding those responsible and ensuring the integrity of this election. The new COVID vaccine rollout is causing confusion, especially for young kids. This year, the FDA updated COVID shots only for people 65 and older and those at high risk. The CDC says the same groups should get vaccinated based on personal choice or talking with a doctor. Adults outside those groups can still get shots by saying they have a qualifying condition like pregnancy or being overweight. CVS and Walgreens let people confirm online no prescription needed. Vaccinating young children is harder. Many pediatricians have limited supply, and pharmacies often only vaccinate kids ages 3 or older. Parents sometimes have to call multiple clinics or travel to get shots. The CDC now allows doctors and parents to decide together if younger kids should get vaccinated. Experts say COVID shots are still widely available for anyone who wants one. Attorney General Pam Bondi faced a fiery Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on Tuesday. Democrats grilled her on Jeffrey Epstein and records involving President Trump, but Bondi came prepared to fight back. From the start, Bondi went on the attack, accusing Democratic senators of taking money from donors tied to Epstein and calling them hypocrites. She refused to answer questions about the Comey indictment, Justice Department firings, or ongoing investigations. She highlighted the Trump administration's crime-fighting efforts, pointing to arrests in Washington, drug busts, and the border and gun seizures in Chicago. When asked about Epstein and Trump, Bondi avoided answering directly and shifted blame to others.
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
Bondi's combative style and pre-planned attacks kept the hearing pretty tense. Republicans pushed Biden-era issues, while Democrats said she was dodging questions and protecting allies. The 5-hour hearing gave few answers but loads of drama, highlighting deep partisan divisions and Bondi's aggressive approach. On October 4th, 2025, the home of South Carolina Circuit Court Judge Diane Goodstein burned down. Her husband, former state senator Arnold Goodstein, and their son were injured in the fire. At the time, some people online, including U.S. Representative Daniel Goldman of New York, wondered if the fire might have been set on purpose. In September, Judge Goodstein had temporarily blocked the release of South Carolina's voting files to President Trump's Justice Department. That ruling was later overturned by the South Carolina State Supreme Court. Social media users speculated the fire could have been retaliation for her decision. However, the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division said there is no evidence the fire was set intentionally. Chief Mark Keel urged people not to share unverified information. The fire was so intense that it destroyed the home and damaged cars. Some news outlets reported it might have been caused by an explosion, but investigators found no signs of one. Online speculations about arson was also fueled by past threats made against Judge Goodstein, although details on those threats remain limited. The NFL has fined Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones $250,000 for what looked like a middle finger at fans during the team's win over the New York Jets. It happened in the final minutes of Dallas's 37-22 victory at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Videos show Jones briefly flashing his right middle finger at fans near his box. Jones, who's 82, said it was an accident. He was celebrating a Cowboys touchdown and meant to give a thumbs up. The NFL confirmed the fine, but said Jones can appeal. The Cowboys senior vice president said Jones plans to do just that. Other NFL owners have faced similar fines. Tennessee Titans owner Bud Adams was fined $250,000 in 2009 for flipping off fans, and Panthers owner David Tepper was fined $300,000 in 2023 for throwing a drink at fans. A dramatic rescue in Indiana as two 11-year-old children lost in the woods were found safe thanks to a canine unit. The children became separated from their mother on Sunday afternoon. First responders from the Brown County Sheriff's Office, local police, and multiple fire departments launched a search, but initially came up empty-handed. The breakthrough came when Deputy Cody Lonkarik arrived with his canine partner, Knox. The dog tracked the children through dense forest covering a 550-yard path and led rescuers straight to them. Authorities did not say how long the children had been missing, but praised the teamwork between law enforcement and emergency crews. Thanks to Knox's tracking skills, the children were found safe, highlighting the critical role of canine units in search and rescue operations. A California woman says AI helped her beat eviction. Lynn White from Long Beach was behind on her mobile home payments and faced an eviction. With no money for a lawyer, she accepted a court-appointed attorney and lost. But she decided to represent herself on appeal using ChatGPT and AI tool called Perplexity. White gave the AI her case documents. The tools helped her spot errors in the judge's decisions, research laws, draft responses, and plan her next steps. After several months, White overturned the eviction notice, avoiding about $55,000 in penalties and over $18,000 in unpaid rent. More people across the U.S. are now using AI to help represent themselves in court. Some say AI makes legal procedures easier, while others have faced penalties for submitting false or misleading information generated by AI. Experts warn users must fact-check everything carefully. And that is all for now. The top stories of the day, no fluffs, straight to the point. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. I'm Kat Pokris, and I'll see you next time.